I learned the real reason my ex left me. Plus update. Original post. Backstory first. So, around 2 years ago, my ex-fiancé, who I'd been in a relationship with for almost 10 years, unceremoniously just left me. It never fully made sense to me, as there were no warning signs. We were actively planning our wedding, and had finally agreed to try for a baby, since we were both in our 30s and time was ticking. Then one day, he just started acting sort of off. Wasn't saying I love you before he left for work, was spending more time out drinking with his friends than he was at home. He'd been struggling with his mental health since the COVID lockdowns, so I assumed he was having a bit of a downward spiral. So I sat down with him one day and just asked if everything was okay with him. He tried to brush it off initially and kept saying he was fine, so I changed the question and asked if we were okay. He looked like he really didn't want to answer, so I asked again. He paused, and in that moment, I knew it was over. I asked if he still loved me. He said he loved me, but wasn't in love with me anymore. And that was it. Within a week, he had moved out, leaving 90% of his belongings to be collected later and to serve as a constant reminder that he was just gone. To say it hit me hard was an understatement. I spiraled massively. I was at the lowest point I had ever been in my life, so I tried to end it all. It just hurt too much, feeling like there was something so wrong with me that he had to just leave. Fortunately, a friend managed to get me to a hospital before I did any serious damage to myself, and while I still felt awful about myself most of the time, it got a little easier. I ended up dating that friend a few months later. A lot of people said it was too soon to move on, but honestly, I never set out to have another relationship at all. But his constant support, presence, and reassurance that there was nothing wrong with me made me want to spend time with those who truly cared about me. In time, we developed feelings for each other. We had a beautiful relationship filled with love and laughter. And much to our surprise, I ended up pregnant 9 months into our relationship. We decided to keep the baby, even though our relationship was still in its early stages. And 9 months later, our beautiful daughter was born. We are still as strong as ever today and continuing to build an amazing life together as a family. Now on to the present day. I guess my ex has been reflecting on the past recently due to a lot of deaths in his family. His mother, who I'm still close with, reached out to ask whether I'd be willing to meet up with him, as he had something to get off his chest. She didn't know what he wanted to talk to me about, as it was something he could only discuss with me, but she said she would understand if I said no. I decided to think about it for a few days, before I agreed to meet up with him at a local coffee shop. I got there early, because, Mama needs her caffeine fix with these early morning wake-ups and night feeds. I was already seated when he came in, and he gave me the saddest-looking smile. I merely nodded and motioned for him to sit down and get out whatever he needed to say. I was a little bit speechless at what he had to say. He said that when we started trying for a baby and nothing was happening, even though we were closely tracking my ovulation and testing every day for that sweet spot, he realized something wasn't right. So he secretly took a day off work to see a fertility doctor. They found that due to an undiagnosed issue in one of his testicles, the likelihood of him ever being able to conceive a biological child of his own was incredibly low. He knew that I loved him so deeply that I would have given up my dream of having children just for him, and he said he couldn't live with that on his conscience. That I deserved to have the life and family I'd always wanted, only with someone else. He kept apologizing profusely for hurting me so much in the process, but tried to rationalize that I had gotten what I'd wanted in the end, so his plan ultimately worked. I sat there silent for a few minutes, then looked him dead in the eyes and said that was never his decision to make. He took away my choice and nearly destroyed me in the process. Then I got up and left. It's been a few days and I'm still processing. My partner knew I was meeting up with my ex and he knows something is up, but he's giving me space until I feel ready to talk about it. But honestly, I'm shook. Like, did my ex honestly think I'd be like, okay, thanks for letting me know, and then we'd all be friends again? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Absolutely. Your ex-boyfriend had no right to take away your choice in this matter. Did he know about your failed attempt at suicide? Why did he not come back then and admit that it was all a mistake? Because you couldn't have babies if you are dead, right? I think it is either he is an absolute moron, or he is trying to give you some BS reason so that you think of him in a better light going forward. Yes, he was aware of the attempt. We had a pretty close-knit group of friends, some of whom were really supportive afterwards. They made him aware. I got an "I hope you're okay, sorry for everything" message after he found out. I never responded, and it was at that point that I blocked and deleted his number and all his socials, because I couldn't trust myself not to drunk message him, begging for him to come back. He was having an affair that is now over and is reflecting. He used a lie to try to make himself seem like a martyr. I did suspect that for quite some time, there was a girl in our friend group he had become oddly close to over the last year of our relationship. She was one of the main people he was going out drinking with when I started realizing something wasn't quite right, so my mind did go there for a while. He ended up moving in with her as housemates after he moved out. She tried coming over to collect the remainder of his things. I was pretty mad and said I didn't consent to her being there, and if she didn't leave my property, I'd call the police on her for trespassing. I don't believe anything was ever actually going on there though, as I heard through the grapevine that she was seeing some drug dealers shortly after my ex moved in with her. There were other ways to deal with his infertility: donor sperm, adoption. The fact that he would rather have taken this decision from you than discuss options with you proves that he was not a suitable long-term partner for you. There are lots of hard decisions couples need to make together, and he demonstrated that he was unwilling to give you any real agency in your life together. You're better off now with your new partner. Oh, I know I'm absolutely so much better off. My current partner is pretty much the opposite of my ex, which was why it was such a surprise that I developed feelings for him. He's extremely different from my usual type, but he's such a good egg. We had a chance to talk about everything late last night. Our daughter is going through a bit of a sleep regression, so late nights are pretty common for us at the minute, and he was super empathetic and equally as mad. I got my first period since having the baby this morning, and he ran me a bath and told me to go sulk for as long as I need to. Bless him. Now for the update. First off, thank you all for your lovely comments and messages of support. I was not expecting my post to blow up like it did, so I wasn't really expecting to make an update to my previous post, and definitely not this soon, but boy does it get interesting. Of course, I plan to leave this situation alone at this point and completely put it behind me. However, my former mother-in-law reached out to me as I hadn't spoken to her in a few days, which is quite unlike me. A few people mentioned in the comments that I should cut her off as well as the ex, but this woman was like a mother to me for almost 10 years. When I was going through difficulties with my own family, she opened her home to me and gave me a safe place to stay if I needed it. She had been more of a parent to me than my own parents, and basically adopted me as the daughter she had always wanted. So when I say we are incredibly close, I genuinely mean it, regardless of anything that's happened with her son. We have a really strong relationship outside of that. We typically have a good catch-up once a week and message in between. Nothing I say to her gets passed on to her son. From what I can gather, the trickles of information he gets come through the grapevine of the group of friends we mutually share. So when she reached out to see if I was okay yesterday, I decided to pop over and catch up with her. Turns out, he came clean to her when she asked exactly what had gone on, as she hadn't heard from me in a few days and was worried. She went absolutely ballistic at him and is currently not speaking to him at all. Then she told me something I did not know, something she assumed I'd known all along. It turns out that when he was born, he had undescended testicles. He had surgery to correct it, but there was always going to be a chance that he would have fertility issues in adulthood. He was meant to go for checkups once he passed puberty to see whether there was any lasting damage. He claimed to his mother that he had gone to these and that everything was fine, but neither of us actually believed this. So, the entire time we discussed having children, he knew there was a possibility that all he was shooting was blanks, but he neglected to let me know this for 10 freaking years. Bear in mind, we were probably doing it unprotected for 2 years of our relationship, not actively trying, but we had agreed that if something happened, we'd be happy about it. So I think when we were actively trying to have a baby and nothing was happening, it sort of gave him the mental tip-off that all was not well, and he finally decided to get that checkup he'd been putting off. I'm flabbergasted, guys. In regard to my partner and my relationship, we are absolutely fine. He's used to my sulky episodes, haha. I eventually filled him in after a few days of being mildly annoyed, and he agreed that it was super messed up. He also agreed with a lot of the comments that his timing for telling me all this was absolutely comical. We did suspect for a while that the real reason he decided to leave was cheating, initially, because he'd gotten strangely close to one of the girls in our friend group, the majority of whom dropped me like hot potato once we split. Turns out there's nothing going on there, but here's another little tidbit from my ex's mom that she also just found out. Guys, he's dating this girl's 60-year-old mother. Good lord, his life is a dumpster fire. I don't even think I'm mad anymore, just mildly amused. Absolutely done with that. Good thing he was shooting blanks. OP didn't even have to dodge the bullet. Seriously, one honest conversation could have saved everyone the headache. The ex is a total piece of crap. I bet he is lying about more of this, and there was something else going on that made him leave. But even if there wasn't, his main motivation was obviously not wanting to get caught in his 10-year lie. He is just coming back around in some warped attempt to make what he did seem noble. I sacrificed our relationship for you. Get the heck out of here. Next story. I, 24 female, found out a horrible secret about my fiancé, 27 male. How do I confront him? This is quite touchy and I'm not even sure how to word it, but I would like to know how to proceed with this. I need to confront him. We have been together for 3.5 years. Everything had been great. In fact, I would say the healthiest relationship I've ever had. He's been caring and sweet, just a little introverted. We've never had any serious arguments at all. But around 2 days ago, he fell asleep with his phone on. He has it set to never lock. So I decided to take a peek, not really expecting to find anything, but now I feel really stupid for it. Big trigger warning. These titles, and some of the images, are explicitly sexual in nature. The ones he wrote as well. If it were only fascination, I could easily understand, but that's the part that has me shocked and confused. I found he collects videos and pictures of dead bodies, men and women. He even has several playlists on YouTube, ranging from funerals to autopsies. They are perfectly organized. None of it is over-the-top violent, but it's all post-mortem. I am talking about hundreds of these photos and videos. At first, I tried to blame it on his grief and the fact he's suffered way too many losses, nearly his entire family. However, these albums and playlists have titles with very inappropriate undertones. And then I also found he bookmarked 2 pages, both of which display pictures and stories of deceased people. Again, with very obviously sexual or romantic intent, and even explicitly so for the stories. I am struggling to remember exactly what I saw because I was in shock, but think of these titles being kind of like dead beauties or hotties. He has never been violent or expressed any kind of sadism towards me or anyone else that I know of. He has spoken before about how he finds funerals and death to be quite peaceful and something he finds beauty in, but I never saw this as strange considering what he's been through. Now I'm not sure what he meant by that. I am honestly upset, but I haven't been able to really gather the courage to confront him about this. I mean, I'm so confused. I never saw anything like this before. If anyone could offer me any guidance on how to bring this up to him, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. I fear this is bigger than Reddit. Freaking run. You remember as a kid watching cartoons and the Roadrunner left the coyote in a cloud of dust? Yeah, you need to be the Roadrunner. GTFO there before he even realized what happened. I really hope this is fake, but I was with a guy that showed me some very illegal photos on his computer. I drove home, ended contact, made a police report, and let the police handle it. They did. Too many men on this earth for you to feel obligated to put up with a disturbed man's BS. He needs a lot of help, and it's not your responsibility to provide it. You couldn't even if you wanted to. I am quite overwhelmed with the amount of responses at the moment. I don't remember the exact names of these 2 websites, but one was male or gay-oriented, dead males, and the other was seemingly only females. I'm sure if I wanted to, I could find them, but I don't want to see that again. Even if you happen to know these, I ask you to please not link them in the comments. If it's not too much to ask, what does your boyfriend do for work? Nothing related to the deceased. It seems like ghosting him is a win for everyone involved. Dead right. Last story. He wants me to get my tubes tied because we said one and done, but things changed after his affair. How do I explain that? We, 41 male and 30 female, have a son who just turned 3. For most of his baby years, I was in survival mode. I agreed we'd be one and done when I was pregnant. He didn't want to be an old dad. And I struggled a lot with the pregnancy. He also grew up as an only child. Then when our son was about 6 months old, my husband confessed he'd had an affair that lasted almost 5 months. He said he was sorry and that he was struggling a lot and found being a dad claustrophobic. He was very remorseful and had confessed on his own accord. What followed was a year I can barely remember. We had a trial separation, did couples therapy and individual therapy. The entire experience robbed me off the newborn stage. I remember planning our son's first birthday party with one tab open for balloon garlands and the other researching divorce lawyers. We had a nanny for our son, and at times it felt like she was the second parent. And now my sister just had a baby a year ago, a little girl. Our son is obsessed. He talks about her all the time. He begs to FaceTime her. We visit every couple of months, even though she's 3 states away. And every time we leave, he cries and asks when we'll see the baby again and if we will have his own baby sister. I think he'll be a good older brother. I always wanted a daughter. I love our son and wouldn't trade him for anything, but I have been having doubts about whether one and done is for me. My difficult pregnancy is one of many things holding me back though. I told my husband this and he's adamant that we shouldn't, and said I should get my tubes tied because I previously agreed I should, mostly after the trauma of pregnancy. I'm not saying a baby would fix anything, but we can afford to. With our son, we had a nanny that I still keep in touch with, so we would have help. I don't want to have a second for all the wrong reasons, but I do want to relive what I missed out on. Don't have another child with a man who doesn't want one. He'll end up resenting you and the baby. Besides this OP, 1. Why would you want to bring another child into an unstable situation? A child is a life, not just some toy that your son can write on a Christmas list and toss away when he's done with it. 2. You do know you aren't guaranteed a daughter the second or the third time? 3. Why isn't your husband getting a vasectomy, considering he's the one slinging his junk around? It feels like you think that because of his affair, he owes you a second baby. Children aren't consolation prizes. If you want more kids, you'll have to end this marriage and have a baby with another partner or as a solo parent.